With more and more news and information coming out about Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, the anticipation for these two new games for the 20th anniversary of Pokemon are basically getting everyone hyped up, including me. Now, one thing I've seen a lot of Pokemon YouTubers doing is their hopes for Pokemon Sun and Moon. So I decided to do one of my own. This is Top 10 Countdown. My hopes for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. What does Reshiram in Black, Zekrom in White, Xerneas in X, Yveltal in Y, and Rayquaza in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire have in common? They are legendary Pokemon that you are forced to catch. Now, while everyone always tries to get the legendary Pokemon, the fact that these are forced on you kind of takes the tradition right out of it. The point of the legendary Pokemon is that you have to show off your skill in order to impress them, so you are able to catch them. No, literally in the game. That's what it's about. It's not, hey, come catch me in a ball and go fight the bad guy. No. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to earn getting these Pokemon one way or another. And hopefully the legendaries for Sun and Moon don't follow this weird trend. There are 18 Pokemon types throughout all of Pokemon ever since Gen 6 came out with the new Fairy type. Now, if you count all 8 gym leaders, all 4 Elite Four members, and the champion, sometimes, that's right around 12 to 13 Pokemon types covered in terms of expertise. But in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, when you get to the Battle Resort, there are 5 specialty trainers taking care of the other 5 types. Now, for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we had Amtonin, the Poison-type expert, Carnation, the Grass-type expert, Felix, the Bug-type expert, Josephine, the Fairy-type expert, and Kelvin, the Ground-type expert. Because of that, one of my hopes is that we have something similar happen in Pokemon Sun and Moon. You could have some pretty powerful trainers representing the 5 types of Pokemon that's not going to be used for the gym leaders, Elite Four, or champion. It could be up to 6 if the champion is a mixed type, like a lot of the champions are. But I think it'd be a very neat treat if we have something like that happen once again in Sun and Moon. There are 7 pseudo-legendary Pokemon throughout the first 721 Pokemon. 5 of them are dragon types. And because the region is based on Hawaii, I would love to see, in the Alola Pokedex, a pseudo-legendary Pokemon that's not a dragon type and not weak to ground. Let's try that one for a change. My best belief is that if there will be a pseudo-legendary, it's probably going to be a water type. After all, the region is based on Hawaii, so that works for me. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver had the Fighting Dojo. Pokemon Black and White 2 had the Pokemon World Tournament. Those are basically the only times you can have rematches with the gym leaders. So let's try and have that actually available in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Let's have the ability to have rematches with the gym leaders. This one kind of sort of sounds like a nitpick of mine, but for me, it's something that I really want to see happen. The ability to create our own battlefield and pick our own music for an opponent to listen to. Whenever you're doing a local connection battle with a friend of yours, or a Wi-Fi connection battle with someone in the world, you have the ability to pick your own battle music for you to listen to. Now, considering that we have to listen to certain songs when certain battles happen, like the Gym Leader music, and the Elite Four music, and the Champion music, don't you think it'd be a more reasonable idea to have the opponent listen to the music we prefer to make the battle more personalized with your trainer and your character? It would make sense. I would love it if people came to battle me and would have to hear, well, Pokemon-wise, it would probably be either the Xerneas, Yveltal, Zygarde battle theme, or Ho-Oh's battle theme, considering Ho-Oh's my favorite Pokemon. But also would be neat if they did throw in a few different songs, not used by any trainers in the game, but for you to possibly choose for an opponent to listen to when it comes to battling you. And something else, why is it every time we have a battle with someone via Wi-Fi or local connection, we gotta deal with this bland green screen? I have seen plenty of different areas used in order for people to create their own little battlefields, whether battling on the beach, or for some reason one person decided to do a triple battle in space, like Deoxys' battle area. The video's on YouTube, so if I can find it, I can link it for you, and if I don't, then you can find it. I know it's on there. But I would really like the ability to create our own battlefield so we can make a battle more personalized for the other trainers who battle their opponents more personalized. Like our own little battle arena. That would be a very neat experience instead of battling on a green, bland, blankless face, crowd surrounding area like this. Ugh. I'm hopeful, since trainer customization is a thing, I hope the battlefield and music customization can become a thing too. So we can make our own characters even more personalized than before. This is my character in Pokemon X, a very neat design that I created based off my ideals. This is my boyfriend's character in Pokemon Y. I kinda helped him with that since he's not big with creating. I would have loved it really more if we had the ability to basically have our rival, since in Pokemon X and Y it was whatever gender character you didn't pick, basically dress up to your liking so it could be a more personalized rival. Now, part of what my hope is that we only get one rival, because 4 or 5, that's a bit, ugh. 2 was whack enough in Pokemon Black and White, but 4 or 5 in X and Y was, that does not work. Especially for someone who's been lonely a majority of her lifetime. Grr. Now the rival, the one rival, I believe has been confirmed via this picture. This smiley looking guy right here. However, I don't see any evidence that we'll have the ability to customize that person. It's no problem if it is, but maybe in the next Pokemon game after Sun and Moon, maybe we get that ability, I don't know. But I would like it if we had the ability to dress up our rivals as well, to make it more personalized, maybe a close friend. If we had the ability to name the rival and make it personalized, like if I could create literally my boyfriend as a rival trainer in the game, I think it'd be a pretty neat experience from that aspect. But if that's too much for the Pokemon Company to handle for right now, then having only one rival will do. And I think that can happen. Not since the Johto games has people in the Pokemon games had the ability to go to a different region. And based on things that I have seen, I think it is possible and likely that the ability to go to another region will be possible. And the reason is Perfect Zygarde. Why on earth would the Pokemon Company reveal all of these different forms for Zygarde, especially the dog form, which is Zygarde 10%, and what is known as Perfect Zygarde, if they're not going to do anything with it? It doesn't really make sense. I'm kind of thinking post-main game, after you beat the Alola League, or whatever they're going to call it, that I have a interesting suspicion that we may have some sort of Zygarde mission. A lot of people are predicting that the mid-colors on its chest head thingy in the middle of its body represent not only Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde, but also the Sun and Moon legendaries when you see the two colors next to the white in the middle. Because it's dark blue, then light blue, then white, then orange, then red. There's a lot of orange involved with the Sun legendary and a lot of light blue in the Moon legendary. Coincidence? Who knows? But we're bound to find out. That's why I will not be surprised if post-game we are able to go to Kalos. It would be a very neat experience. And actually it brings up something else. Something else that people like me really want. When Pokemon X and Y came out, the 3 Kanto starters got Mega Stones and got the ability to Mega Evolve in their final stage. When Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, the Hoenn starters in their evolved forms got the ability to Mega Evolve. There's kind of a problem here. It's something that I feel has been a main issue for a long time. The Gen 1 starters gets a Mega Evolution. The Gen 3 starters gets a Mega Evolution. Once again, it feels like we are dissing on Gen 2. And that's why one of the big things that I want to see is respect for Johto. And there are 5 main points to this. So, mini countdown time. Do you know how in Pokemon X and Y there were certain reminiscent events to the original games, basically Red, Blue, and Yellow, and their successors as well, Fire Red and Leaf Green? You had the Snorlax thing going on. The Sandaloon Forest has the exact same design as Viridian Forest. Well, let's see a few things from Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver make an emergence in Sun and Moon. Like maybe a Pseudo-Wudo event. Hawaii has a lot of trees, so why not Pseudo-Wudo? Let's have a secret potion event going on where you have to help heal a sick Pokemon. Let's have Karate King Kyo make another appearance with all 3 Hitmons and maybe 3 other fighting types. Heck, let's make him the fighting expert trainer. With, say, a Hitmonchan, Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, a Sawk, a Throh, and a Mega Medicham. Makes the most sense to me. Let's have something similar to that Farfetch'd event you got. Let's see. We could also have the Poke-Athlon. That was a Johto-only thing. That's pretty nice. Maybe a bug-catching contest, even though those aren't that popular. Perhaps even have an Auto Shiny event. I know a lot of people involved in the Pokemon community now are shiny hunters, including my boyfriend. Let's get a shiny out of the way for them in the 7th gen. And maybe even the return of one team. Because Johto had a minuscule, crazy version of Team Rocket. A lot of people have the belief that Sun and Moon will be similar to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, having separate teams. I think that Team Flare will be one of them for Pokemon Sun. Even though their storyline doesn't really connect to it, it would be interesting if something like that could happen. Even though I don't see how, considering in Pokemon X and Y, once the demise of the Ultimate Weapon happened, Lysandra died, even though it's not mentioned. And yes, I believe that was an actual thing. For the love of Pete, let's have a Dark-type gym. The Dark-type has been around since Gen 2, and it still remains the only type without its own official gym in the games. We have 3 Elite Four members, but no gym. That does not make sense. Let's fix that one. The return of the Apricot Pokeballs. Now, the Apricot Pokeballs are actually some of my favorites. I would love to have these in a newer variation of game, because they haven't been able to be used at all in any sense of the word since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Let's fix that. Now, there's a few ways you could do this. You could have apricot trees like you do, take it to somebody, and you could have that person make the Apricot Pokeballs. Now, since in Heart Gold and Soul Silver we have Kurt, you could probably have someone related to Kurt move to the Alola region to promote the Apricot Pokeballs. My main pick would be the granddaughter, who in the anime is named Maisie. And it would make sense for her to be in that region, considering her favorite Pokemon is Slowpoke, who's kind of like a tropical Pokemon. So that would make sense as well. So if you have Maisie with a bunch of Slowpokes around making Apricot Pokeballs, that would definitely show respect towards the Johto fans, like me. A lot of Pokemon YouTubers had an early premonition before the reveal of the Sun and Moon Legendaries that it was going to be a Mega Ho-Oh or Mega Lugia situation. Now, I myself was not one of those people because Gen 7 was already announced. Why would they make Johto starters on a Gen 7 box? It doesn't make sense. But what would make sense is this. In the intros for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you see the Sun and the Moon coming up when Ho-Oh and Lugia, respectively, were flying towards you before the preview screens and all that stuff and the start screen. So one thing I could see happen is something similar to Rayquaza with the Delta episode. And basically have a Delta episode-esque event for Ho-Oh and or Lugia. My guess would be exclusives. Have the Delta episode-esque event for Ho-Oh in Sun or Moon, and have Lugia in the opposite game. For balance sake, I would have Ho-Oh in Moon and Lugia in Sun. If you guys want to go for a more traditional format and have Ho-Oh in Sun and Lugia in Moon, that would make sense too. Now, how I would do it is basically, I guess you would have a trainer who wants to find Ho-Oh and Lugia and maybe save the Alola region from anything, because Hawaii is known for a lot of myths and all that, so I would not be surprised if these legendary Pokemon associated with myths could be involved with that. Maybe even have, you know how Rayquaza had Zinnia as the trainer representative? Basically, you could have maybe 2 different trainers with Ho-Oh and Lugia, like a rainbow-like character with Ho-Oh and a black and white, maybe silver grayish character for Lugia. Let's see. These were my concept of what one of these trainers would look like. The one on the left next to Ho-Oh is named Mary, and the one on the right next to Lugia is named Jeremy. They were just characters I made up for such a sequence like that. And maybe those characters would have either the Rainbow Wing and the Silver Wing, or the Claire Bell and the Tidal Bell. And maybe the main character would find the other, help the Pokemon, or something to that extent. And then maybe have the ability to battle that trainer later on. Multiple times, maybe instead of once like Zinnia, which was weird, but perhaps something like that could work for Ho-Oh and Lugia post-game. Just a thought. But I really like to see that. Because it would make a lot of sense if you had the ability to do something like that. Especially considering that the Gen 3 legendaries can either Primal Evolve or Mega Evolve. And, well, the only Gen 1 legendary to technically go Mega would be Mewtwo, but the legendary birds, as well as the Reggie trio, don't have the ability to Mega Evolve yet, so I guess that wouldn't make logical sense considering the legendary beast connection. But still, it's still a pretty interesting idea if something like that could work. For the love of Pete, if the Gen 1 starters can Mega Evolve and the Gen 3 starters can Mega Evolve, why not Gen 2 starters? Come on! The pictures that you see before you are the best pictures I could find that would work for me what a Mega Meganium, Mega Typhlosion, and Mega Feraligatr would look like. If we could have something like that in terms of the Gen 2 starters having that ability, and maybe even getting them early in the game, I don't know. I'd like to see a Popplio and a Typhlosion work together, or a Cyndaquil, rather. But still, something like that would be awesome. For the love of Pete, let's give some respect for the Johto region and stop dissing it. Oh, and while you're on that, Mark, can we do a virtual console thing for Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal like you did for Red, Blue, and Yellow? I'd enjoy that very much as well. But still, respect the Johto region. This one may be a stretch, but considering Hawaii, I could see this potentially happen. The return of secret bases. The secret bases was a very neat thing, and I loved how they were able to get that done in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I would love to see that return in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Maybe that can coincide with the ability to create our own battlefield and pick our own music. Heck, if you have the jukebox item, you can pick the music that plays when you're in the secret base of yours. How come I didn't have that ability when it came to the battles? Perhaps if we get the ability to do that, maybe you don't have to do it in Wi-Fi if they can't do it yet. But maybe just the secret bases. I would love that idea. Oh, and also I'll add more items and base designs possible. And for the love of Pete, let's have the use of 6 Pokemon in your secret base party instead of 3. That's whack. But it would be neat if I could get Ho-Oh dolls in my Pokemon base. That'd be very neat. This last hope was pretty much confirmed, but I want to see more. The return of trainer customization. Now, when I put these two bits side by side, that's when I figured out it's coming back. And there have been a lot of videos confirming other different features involving that ever since. But I want to see more than that. Yeah, I know, we're gonna get different hats, we're gonna get different shirts, we're gonna get different shoes, we're gonna get different pants. But I want more. A lot of things a lot of custom Pokemon characters have, based on our ideals and wishes, aren't seen in trainer customization. For example, why did the men get the ability to wear a Pancham hat, and that was virtually the only Pokemon hat we had available? Do you know how many people in the real world wear Pikachu hats and all that stuff? Heck, my mom was given an Eevee hat for Christmas. Why do we have hats like that? There's a bunch of different Pokemon that I could see with Pokemon hats. Oh, and here's something else. Let's do add-on clothing. Why in the world do we only get the ability to use Mega Bracelets? Let's fix that one. My main thing with my signature character is the Mega Glove, like Karina has, except mine is black and not white. So let's have something like that for the trainers to possibly use. And put their Mega Stones on any item of their choice, mainly. Like different Mega Keystone Equip items, instead of the Mega Ring and the Mega Bracelet. And finally, let's do some other different add-on items. Do you know how many people want to play with a character who wears a cape or a robe? That would be a very neat deal. I would love to have my character based on my exact design. And it would be neat if I could have my character in a green robe. That would be very nice. So while I know that trainer customization will make a return, I want to say even more out of it. Even more clothing item ideas. And not just be weirdly bland. My character concept in X and Y is awesome, but I want to see something remotely close to what my character is like. And maybe other characters too. Because that would be a very neat concept. If we can make the trainer customization exactly the way we want it. And also, more Pokemon clothing options. That would be a neat idea too. I know I can't get a Johnny Benson hat in there, so it'd be neat if I have, like, a Raichu hat. That would definitely work. So that's it for my top 10 countdown of hopes for Pokemon Sun and Moon. Is there anything in this countdown that you guys have hope for? Is there anything else that you guys have hope for in the Pokemon Sun and Moon games? Let me know in the comments sector. Thank you for watching my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.